Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, I'm good too. I'm Sarah Nelson. I'll be the recruiter evaluating you today. Today I'll be asking you a series of questions regarding past work experiences and performance skills. The purpose of these questions is to gauge how you react within certain situations. I will also be taking notes.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, let's go ahead and start. Tell me a little about yourself.
Well, I'm Jacob Nelson. I'm a student at Utah Valley University studying business management. I hope to get an MBA degree along with a minor in statistics. A lot of my previous work experience is within sales and customer service. The notable employers I've had is Comcast, Brio Energy, and Oregon Employment Department. I learned many valuable skills here, including data analyst, presentation, communication, and time management skills. Those are skills I use every day. I also have a certification with Excel. I am also familiar with RStudios and Python, and I'm also familiar with Microsoft PowerPoint. And I know with a given amount of time, I will be a valuable asset to this company, and I look forward to working here.
Okay, great. So now I'm going to ask you some more questions. Tell me about a time you showed initiative. What prompted you to get started, and what were the results?
A time that I showed initiative was within sales. I set a goal with myself to set a number of sales within a given time period, and with help from my supervisors, extra training, which I did ask them for, I was able to achieve the amount of sales that I wanted to make within that time period.
Good. What was the most useful criticism you ever received from an immediate supervisor? How did you embrace this feedback and achieve a positive outcome?
Kind of sounds counterintuitive, but I was told I was too nice on the phone calls at Comcast, and that caught me off guard. But we were required to have a certain amount of calls within an hour, and I wasn't meeting that parameter, and the main reason was that my supervisor said I was too nice. So with additional training from my supervisor and hard work working on that, I was able to actually increase my calls per hour by over 2 after the training. So I was making about 8 calls an hour after that.
Okay. What do you feel you have to offer above the average employee when it comes to accomplishing your daily responsibilities and goals? Can you share a specific example?
Yeah, I think it's my time management skills. At the Oregon Employment Department, I was working on several different things at once, and if it were not for my time management skills, I wouldn't have been able to complete those in a timely manner and as good as I did. And so I think that is what makes me better than average.
Okay. Describe a time when you elevated the level of value you brought to a customer over time. How did you accomplish this?
Within sales, it was kind of my responsibility to build customer relations and to be able to build rapport with those customers in order to get them comfortable enough that they were able to sit down with a further employee of ours and get further information. I was kind of the icebreaker for them, and I was the person that would introduce them to the company and what we did, and I convinced them of what we were doing, and what we were doing was good for them.
Okay. Can you recall a time when you were less than pleased with your performance? What did you do about it?
Anytime I looked at stats, I was kind of disappointed because there was always that one area that I could obviously work on. I think a specific story was within our call quality at Comcast. Comcast was notorious for being harsh on their employees in regards to call quality, and it took a toll on me, and I always didn't like looking at my stats because of it. But I did ask my supervisor to take me for further training, and I did read up on the material that the company provided, and I was able to actually improve my call quality by over 50%, which was the highest out of anyone on the team.
That's great. Can you describe your level of competitiveness? Tell me about a specific situation where your competitiveness helped you achieve better results than your peers.
I'm very competitive, and I think with competitive supervisors, that has allowed me to become a very valuable employee to each and every company that I've had. Specifically, it was at Brio Energy when I was doing sales for them, where my supervisors were also very competitive. That kind of bled off on me along with my competitive spirit. I was able to work with my supervisors in order to pick the areas that I would do best in, and that is one of the reasons that I was second in the Utah County office in regards to sales.
Okay. Think of an example when one of your your customers was not pleased with something you or your team did. What was the situation? How did you recover?
At the Oregon Employment Department, every time we talked to the customer in regards to what the benefits they were receiving, they were always upset and frustrated. And the main reason was because we were so backlogged that we were working as hard as we can, but we couldn't keep up with the amount of applications that we were receiving. And so oftentimes that led to applications sitting there and waiting for nearly 8 weeks in order to get helped. And by that time, they had moved on, they had found a different job, but we were still there to give them benefits and give them the benefits that they deserved. And I think in overcoming that, I think I had to tell myself that we needed to be understanding of them and tell them that yes, it was a long time since they had heard from anyone, but we were there to help them and that we were working on it right then and there. And I think that because in doing that, that allowed me to process more applications and to get to know the customer on a better basis.
Okay. Give an example of a time when you successfully persuaded your peers to change their minds and follow your recommendations. What was the specific situation and results?
Within sales, the advice I always gave to new people or people that shadowed me was that they should believe in the product that they were selling. Because if they didn't believe in the product that they were selling, they wouldn't sell it to anyone else because they wouldn't be able to get them to believe in that product as well. So that was always the big advice when telling new people what to do and how to sell. And I think that from that they were able to grow and that they were able to sell.
Okay, that's great. Can you share a time when you are able to directly attribute your probing skills to solve a problem with a difficult customer?
At Comcast, we were tasked to ask probing questions oftentimes in order to search for people's problems and how to solve them. Specifically, when people called in with phone issues, we would have to ask probing questions. Was the phone working? How is it behaving? What were you able to do on the phone? Kind of what happened to the phone in order to kind of lead up to that problem. And then from there, I was able to ask further probing questions in order to solve their problem and do stuff on our end so that I could get their phone to work. And I think that's a good example of probing questions.
Okay. Can you tell me about a time when you identified a new, unusual, or different approach for addressing a problem or task? How did you come to this solution and what was the outcome?
At the Oregon Employment Department, our task was to not only file applications, but also communicate with customers if there is any issue with their application. And the issue that I found with that is that if I were to talk to someone about the issue that I found on their application, that would cost me maybe 20 or 30 minutes, whereas I could put that time into maybe filing actual applications that didn't have any issues with them, and I could file maybe 5 or 6 applications in that time. And so I focused more on the filing application part rather than contacting customers for that or contacting applicants. And I think that really helped the firm or the office out because I was able to process more applications than anyone else. And I think that was a good thing for me to do.
That's great. So last question, why should you be considered for this position?
I think I should be considered for this position because of the skills that I have. I've specifically chosen the places that I've worked in the past so that I could be familiar with business and so that I could have the skills necessary in order to excel within the business. And I think also my value in time management skills has also helped me quite a bit. And I think that that is what makes me a valuable asset to this company.
Okay. So one thing I had a question about is when I asked you about your most useful criticism, you said you were too nice, and that your supervisor talked to you about it. Like, what did you do, or like, what did you do to get more calls per hour?
The main thing that I learned from his training was that I need to take the initiative within the conversation. Mainly was that I was too nice with customers in the sense that I would let them speak and I would let them kind of drive the conversation. But instead, I needed to be the one doing that. And I actually found that my calls went up quite a bit when I actually took the initiative within those calls rather than letting them speak about, I don't know, their cat or dog or something like that. But instead, I drove the conversation.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I had a couple questions in regards to what would kind of the daily work environment be like?
So usually you'll be working within your office while you're processing data, but you'll often have opportunities to meet with our clients in order to share and present data.
That's actually really nice. And also, considering this day and age, kind of how has COVID impacted the office? Like, is there anybody working at home, or is there options for that?
So currently we have about half our staff working from home and the other half is working in the office. You'll have an opportunity to choose where you would prefer to work after training is complete.
Okay, I think that sums up my questions. That'd be good.
Okay, so it'll take me a couple days to finish interviewing with our applicants, so you'll probably hear back from me within 3 to 4 days. And it was good to meet you, Jacob, and I wish you the best of luck, and you'll hear back from me within a few days.
All right, and thank you very much for taking the time to meet with me.
Bye.